Hi guys, the Metal Maniac back again, and in this video I'm going to be listing off my top 5 favorite glam metal albums. Now, before I begin, uh, this list is sort of, I guess, a last minute thing, so I wasn't really going to do a video today, but I thought, I have an idea, I have a video idea, so why not? Anyway, so let's just get into the list, shall we? Coming in at number 5 is a glam metal album from a non-glam metal band, and that's Inside the Electric Circus by Wasp. Now, Wasp was never really a glam metal band, but they did try out the glam metal thing for one album. They sort of hopped on the glam metal train for a short time in the mid '80s. And they released this album. This is was it their third album? I think it was either their third or fourth album. I'm not entirely sure. I don't really remember their entire discography, mainly because I only listened to mostly the earlier stuff, the early stuff. Anyway, so they released this, and this is their one and only glam metal album. And you get some really cool songs on here. You get Inside the Electric Circus, which, is the title track. Super cool. I Don't Need No Doctor, which I think is a cover song from another band. But it's also really good. Although my favorite song on here is 95 Nasty. Now, this song is definitely pure glam metal. Like, it's just, one of those songs where, off the bat, you're like, oh yeah, this is a glam metal song. Super cheesy, super, sort of like a glam metal song, sort of just. I mean, this album is loved but also hated. There's half of the Wasp fans love this album, half hate this album. The ones that hate this album are not fans of glam metal, so of course they're gonna hate it. But yeah, sure, it's not the best Wasp album, but it is still really good. Like I said, 95 Nasty is my favorite song on here, but you also get other songs like Restless Gypsy, oh, that's a good one. Shooting from the Hip, I'm Alive. But yeah, just a really cool glam metal album from a band that is not really glam metal, but did sort of hop on the glam metal train for, just a short time before, going back to their heavy metal roots. But yeah. Alright. Number 4. Number 4 is another glam metal album from a band that's not glam metal, and that's Turbo by Judas Priest. Yes, even Judas Priest at the time hopped on the glam metal train. Again, only for one album, then they went back to traditional heavy metal. This was actually released the same year as Inside the Electric Circus. Both were released in 1986, which was arguably the peak of glam metal. Yeah, a really good album. Another one that most fans especially Judas Priest fans, most don't like. Unlike this one where it's half and half, for the most part, most Judas Priest fans don't like this album. Again, it's because a lot of the Judas Priest fans are fans of traditional heavy metal and not really glam metal, but then this came out and then everyone was upset, because, oh, it's glam metal, what the hell are you guys doing? But, I still think it's a very good album. Turbo Lover. Now, Turbo Lover is really the only song on here that everybody, or most people like, even if they don't like this album. But yeah, you have that one. Private Property is also really good. Parental Guidance. Rock You All Around the World, which I think had a music video. I'm not entirely sure. Out in the Cold is great. Wild Nights, Hot and Crazy Days. Hot for Love, super catchy chorus in that one. And then my favorite song on here, Reckless, which, despite the rest of the songs were obviously glam metal songs, Reckless stands out in the sense that it's more of a traditional heavy metal style song rather than a glam metal song. But yeah, just a great album. I I don't know exactly if because I was thinking I was gonna say the Judas Priest live album, Priest Live, was the Turbo Tour, but I don't actually know. I thought it was, but I don't want to stupidly say it is, and then it turns out, oh wait, I fact check it, it's not. So anyway, I'm rambling. But yeah, this is a very underrated album, and yeah, sure, it's a glam metal album, but still, it's really, really good. There was recently, I believe, a rematch. No, it was an anniversary edition that had I think a couple of bonus tracks on it. Yeah, sure, these have two bonus tracks, all fired up, and the live version of Locked In. But I think the anniversary edition has a couple more bonus tracks, and it also has a slightly different cover art. The anniversary edition has the color scheme was red and purple instead of red and white. But yeah, great album. All right, number three. Number three was one I was hesitant to put on here, mainly because they're not fully glam metal, but kinda were at one point. And that's Halloween's first album, Don't Meddle with Evil. Now, Halloween, for all intents and purposes, are pretty much a heavy metal band. But back in the 80s, they did have sort of a glam metal aspect to them. I'd say from like when they started in 83 all the way up to 86. After that, they became pretty much straightforward heavy metal. But back in the during the 80s, Halloween did have sort of glam metal side to them. Of course, if you look at the pictures of the band, they definitely had a lot of the glam metal look. You could kind of see. You can't really see it that well. Pictures are kind of dark, but yeah, they have sort of like glammy sort of mascara and some face paint and stuff. Brian Thomas, the vocalist, even has the big poofy glam metal hair. And even though the structurally, for the most part, the songs, throughout the 80s stuff are, heavy metal, they do at times feel like glam metal songs, especially with Brian Thomas's vocals. Brian Thomas's vocals changed throughout the years. Like, in the 80s, they were pretty much full-on glam metal vocals, and then starting around 90, 91, he went to a sort of a more gruff, traditional heavy metal vocal style. Yeah, but yeah. So this band back in the 80s, with their early stuff, did sort of ride the thin line between heavy metal and glam metal. So I was hesitant again. I was hesitant to put this on the list because they weren't, fully glam metal. Yeah, sure, they had some aspects, but you know what? I do really like their early stuff a lot. Um, as for this album, this is probably the cheesiest of all their albums. It has a lot of sort of goofy sound effects, like for example, in the song "Busted," at the beginning you hear a sound effect of glass breaking, but it's like super, loud and exaggerated. With the song "Trick or Treat," at the beginning, there's an audio clip of kids running up to a porch, ringing the bell, saying "Trick or Treat" and stuff. On the song "Wicked Witch," you have a Wicked Witch laugh in the beginning. In the title track "Don't Meddle with Evil," you have sort of I get sort of a backwards message thingy. And in the song "Haunted," you get sort of, I guess, sort of like evil voices in the background, but not like a evil, just kind of like a over the top, goofy Halloween type evil. Um, but yeah, I mean, sure. I mean, some people won't like their earlier stuff again because they were sort of glam metal back in the day, but it's still really good, and I think this is probably their best album from that era. Oh, of course, followed up by Victims of the Night, which I still need to do a review on. I don't own that album yet, but I'm trying to get a hold of it. But yeah, I mean, if I were to suggest any songs on here, I'd say "Justice for All," one of the best ballads of all time, in my opinion. "Trick or Treat's" good. "Don't Meddle with Evil," the title track. "What a Nice Place." Actually, "What a Nice Place" is one of the few songs from here to get a music video. Um, "Haunted's" a great one. "She's a Teaser," and "Tales from the Crypt." But they're all of the songs are really good, so it was really hard to just only throw out a few of their as suggestions. Now as for the band changing their sound, again, like I said, around 1990/91, they went through pretty much a full-on heavy metal sound. They got a lot. Their style got a lot heavier, a lot sort of like it got a lot heavier and like threw away the goofiness for the most part. Um, and then of course Brian Thomas changed his vocal style. But yeah, their early stuff is really good, but I think this is the best of the bunch. Also, I really recommend checking out their other album from around this time called Victims of the Night. But yeah, this one very very good. All right, number two. Number two is "I Am the Night" by Pantera. Yes, Pantera were a glam metal band. Once upon a time. Now, not all their 80s stuff was glam metal, just their first three albums with the singer Terry Glaze on vocals. But this is their best of that era. It's a little heavier than the first two albums, but not as heavy as the stuff later on. Um, you get some really great songs on here. "Hot and Heavy's" great. "Onward We Rock," "DGTTM," "Down Below," the first version of "Down Below" before it was re-recorded for the album Power Metal. "Come On Eyes," great, sort of just a really good song. I'd say it's probably the heaviest song on the album. And then you get "Right on the Edge," "Valhalla," and "Forever Tonight." Just a really good album with some really good guitar work, great drumming, awesome vocals, and just a great album. Especially if you're not super into glam metal, but sort of want to try it out. I think this is one of the better albums to start off with. Probably along with the other one on this list that I showed before, as well as my number one. But yeah, just a great album and my second favorite glam metal album. Alright, number one. Number one is the album Hallowed by the band Hallowed. Now, this band was a glam metal band from Italy. I think the band was founded it was either 83 or 84. Or around that time. But they released a few demos before, and then in 1986, they released their first and only album, called, of course, with their own band name as the name of the album, their self-titled debut and final album. As for musicality, it's a little less over the top in terms of glam metal. It sort of has a heavy metal ethic to it, and what I mean by that is, like, it's not trying to be overly, goofy or overly out there like most glam metal albums. And yeah, sure, there's some, I guess, in nature cheesy songs on here, with "Flight to the Moon" and probably not "Wake Up in the Night," "Sing the Music Wild," but again, it's not that that kind of goofy. It sort of knows what it is and doesn't go too over the top. Although you do get some interesting, sound effects and stuff with the first half of the first song, the overture part of the first track. But yeah, I mean, sure, I would say the closest they have ever went to being, straight up heavy metal would be the song Wake Up in the Night. It definitely is a lot heavier and a lot more straightforward, just full, heavy metal. The rest are pretty much glam metal songs, but they're still really good. Also, you get not only great vocals on here, not only great, instrumentation and great production, but you also get some of the most beautiful guitar solos you'll ever hear. Like, it's just so interesting because there's a little pamphlet in here that talks about the band, and they claimed at the time they barely knew how to play their instruments. But I find that kind of hard to believe considering how well crafted this album is. Again, not only in production, not only production wise, not only vocal wise, but instrumentation wise. Like, the instrumentation is so well crafted on this album, it's really hard to believe the claim that they didn't really know how to play their instruments at this time. Or that they ever did, but, whatever. I mean, it's definitely a great album. It took me a while to like most of the album for some reason. Like, when I first listened to this, I only liked 4 songs on the album, but now I like almost all of them. The only songs that I don't like are the, Dreaming of You and We Got You. Those like, songs near the very end of the album. Right there, Dreaming of You and We Got You. But the rest of the album's great. The Hallowed Overture / I Can't Stop the Fall is a great way to open the album. Sing the Music Wild is awesome. Wake Up the Night, great. The Strong Doubt I Could Revive is also good. Fight to the Moon, super, super catchy, and probably the cheesiest song on the album, but it's still enjoyable. I do really like it. Cry No More is great. Running Forever and Deep Coma. Also, this is a re-released / remastered version. Everything sounds a little bit more, clean cut. Not like overproduced. That's not what I mean, but it sounds a little bit more distinct and a little bit more. It has a little bit more oomph to it than the original release, in terms of audio. But yeah, I just really, really like it. It's super good. By an extremely short-lived but awesome band. And it's my favorite glam metal album, and also my favorite glam metal band. Alright, so that's about it for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you all next time.